Hey everyone, I'm Shaylin here with Reedsy. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 tropes that I love and want to see more of. So a little while ago, I think it was earlier this year, we did a video where I talked about 5 tropes that I'm tired of seeing. And the discussion on that video was great. It was great to hear all of your guys' thoughts and opinions on tropes that you're quite tired of. So today we're following that up with a bit of a more positive spin. And I'm going to talk about 5 tropes that I love. Of course, this is all opinion. These are just 5 tropes that I personally love. You might hate some of these tropes. You might love the tropes that I said I didn't like. But these are tropes that I'm just really fond of and really enjoy seeing. Now, the first one, I'm going to combine 2 tropes into one. It's anti-heroes and anti-villains. Anti-heroes and anti-villains genuinely are probably my favorite tropes. I'm grouping them together because they're kind of related. I really love reading about morally complicated people. As soon as I started to encounter anti-heroes, especially the very morally gray type of anti-hero in fiction, is when I realized that that was the type of character that I wanted to write and that was most appealing to me. There's something so interesting about reading from the perspective of someone who is very morally skewed, maybe lacking in morals, maybe whose morals are a little misguided. To me, that's just the most interesting thing to write about. It makes for a really interesting quality to kind of color the whole narrative, especially if it's from that character's perspective. Number 2 is a trope I think a lot of people love, and it's found family. There's something so heartwarming about the found family trope. When a bunch of characters from completely different walks of life end up meeting and seeing each other as their own family, that gets me every single time. Especially if it's just a bunch of kind of like misfit characters and then they all end up coming together, seeing each other as a family, even if it's just between 2 characters, you know, 2 characters who end up developing a bond where they feel like they're siblings, or, you know, a character kind of taking another character under their wing like they're their own child. Found family is always such a fun and heartwarming dynamic, but it can also be such an interesting dynamic, where these characters are not actually family, but they feel that way. Number 3 is a trope that some might consider kind of tired, but I still love it, and it's the funny best friend. This trope is really common in young adult and in film and romantic comedies, but I think this trope is fun in any genre. I love funny sidekicks, funny best friends. A lot of the time, main characters aren't given the free rein to be really happy, bubbly, funny people. They almost have to be a bit more serious because the story is focused around them, in a lot of cases, not necessarily. And so sometimes it can be really nice to have that sidekick character who's really fun, who's really hilarious, who's maybe kind of clumsy, sarcastic, witty, whatever. I feel like it adds such a fun dynamic to the plot, and maybe this is another trope in and of itself, but I love the kind of bitter cynic is best friends with bubbly ray of sunshine dynamic. I think it's really endearing, and I think as long as both characters are characterized in a complicated way where they don't become the cynic and the bubbly ray of sunshine, it can be a really fun dynamic to explore. The kind of friendship where you see it and you're like, this should not work. I don't understand how you stand each other, but somehow it does work and you would die for each other. Number 4, this was the first trope that I thought of when I was scripting this video, and it's fake dating. Fake dating is, in my opinion, the prime trope for comedic setup. Whether it's I need you to pretend to be my significant other because I lied to my family, or I need you to pretend that we're dating so I can get out of this other obligation. Whatever it is, whatever the situation is, I think 2 people who have to pretend to be in a relationship when they are not actually, often the funniest thing. It's just prime for comedy. Even if it's not even a primarily comic book, I think it can be a really funny trope. And my final favorite trope is weird small town. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone who's ever read anything I've ever written, but I love weird small towns. I'm not even from a small town, but I love stories that are set in weird small towns. I think it's really interesting when you get this kind of microcosm of a town that's kind of just strange, and like the town has its own ways that almost feel a little separate from reality, even if it's a fully contemporary book. I love it when a weird town almost feels like its own kind of sliver of reality, almost like it's kind of cut off from the rest of the world. The dynamics between all the people in the town can be so interesting when there's that sense of kind of claustrophobia, and I just think it's a great backdrop to introduce whatever type of story you want to explore. So those are 5, technically 6, of my favorite tropes. What are your favorite tropes? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos from us. We have writing, editing, and publishing tips every Tuesday and Friday. Thanks for watching. Bye.